नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Let's end the verse. Tasya evam me anuraktasya tasyaiva me anuraktasya tasyaiva me anuraktasya prasritasya hata ena saha prasritasya hatena saha prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharyasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya Prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya Prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya Prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya Prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya Prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya Prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya Prasritasya hatena saha Shraddhadanasya balasya Dantasya anucharasya cha Tasyaiva me anuraktasya प्रसृतस्य हतेन सह श्रद्धदानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्यानुचरस्य च तस्यैव मे अनुरक्तस्य प्रसृतस्य हतेन सह श्रद्धदानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्यानुचरस्य च chant. Sridhar, get water, glass of water. तस्यैव मे अनुरक्तस्य प्रसृतस्य हतेन सह श्रद्धदानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्यानुचरस्य च online
तस्यैव मे अनुरक्तस्य प्रसृतस्य हतेन सह श्रद्धदानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्यानुचरस्य च
तस्यैव मे अनुरक्तस्य प्राश्रितस्य हतेन सह श्रद्धदानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्यानुचरस्य च
तस्यैव मे अनुरक्तस्य प्रसृतस्य हतेन सह श्रद्धदानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्यानुचरस्य च
तस्यैव मे अनुरक्तस्य प्रसृतस्य हतेन सह श्रद्धदानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्यानुचरस्य च
Synonyms: tasya, his; evam, thus; me, mine; anuraktasya, attached to them; prasritasya, obediently; ata, freed from; ena saha, since; Shraddhadanasya, of the faithful; Balasya, of the boy; Dantasya, subjugated; Anucharasya, strictly following the instructions; Cha, and. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. Translation with repetition. I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. These are the necessary qualifications of prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated.
ಅದೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಬ್ರೋ 6:30 ಅಲ್ಲ ಹಂಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ ಏನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತಾ
These are the necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated devotee. Such a candidate must always seek the association of pure devotees. One should not be misled by a pseudo devotee. He himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instructions of such a pure devotee. A pure devotee is a completely surrendered soul unto the personality of Godhead. He knows the personality of Godhead as the supreme proprietor and all others as his servitors. And by the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of all sins accumulated by mundane association. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. Hence, the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanathimiranthasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me? You can't talk. Can you hear me?
Yes, bro.
So, this is a wonderful verse that we just read, and we will try to discuss something from the purport, brilliant purport by Prabhupada. Before I proceed, can you tell one quality, one qualification which is mentioned in the verse that you heard just now? Anyone? Seek association. Gentle.
Being faithful, Prabhu.
Freed from sins. Okay, that is the effect of association with devotees, not a quality. Okay, good. So you got some things. Actually, the purport of Srila Prabhupada, it's a panacea. It's a cure-all for all our material problems and material diseases. Unfortunately, we don't pay attention, and we struggle, continue to struggle more and more in this material world. These are such wonderful and beautiful purports. These are transcendental, that's why. It can actually free us from all this anxieties and miseries and the material inebrities, problems, conflicts. Everything can be cleared. can be completely eradicated. Let's see this verse. So the title for today's class is Qualifications for Elevation in Devotional Life. What are the qualifications required to elevate ourselves in devotional life? What are the things that I should have which will ensure that I will progress in my devotional life? Prabhupada writes in the purport, the first line, that these are the necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated devotee. If anybody is sleepy, anything, you can go. There's no need to sit here. These are the necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated devotee. The goal is clear. If one wants to become a pure, unadulterated devotee, if that is the goal, it's not a small goal, it's a very lofty goal. And if really one wants to become a pure, unadulterated devotee, then these are necessary qualifications. These are absolutely must. These are necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate. Actually, in life, we can be in two situations. One is we are ignorant what we want to do in life. The other is we are callous. We take it lightly. Both are dangerous. More dangerous is if we are callous. So if the goal is unadulterated, if we want to become pure, unadulterated devotee, then Prabhupada is writing these are necessary qualifications. You cannot ignore them. And this is proven from the life of Narad Muni as he is explaining this to Vedavyas. So let us see what are these. But before we go there, I just want you to remind that there was a verse that we had some time back, 1.5.24, and there also some qualifications were mentioned, especially in the purport, the last line, we had this important instruction given by Srila Prabhupada. We'll meditate on that once. The verse was, Te me apeta khilacha pale arphake, dante dhrita kridanake anuvartini, chakruh kripam yadyapi tulya darshanaha, sushrushamane munayo alpabhasini. And the translation was, although they were impartial by nature, they refers to those Bhakti Vedantists. Those followers of the Vedantas blessed me with their causeless mercy. So they were impartial, Tulya Darshana, but they blessed Narada Muni. Why did they bless? As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled, Dante, had no attachment for sports, Adhrita Kridanake, even though I was a boy. He was a small boy, but he was not attached to all these things. In addition, I was not naughty, and I did not speak more than required. Alpabhasini, and I was Sushrushamane, so he was not naughty, and he did not speak more than required. In the purport, Prabhupada talks about these three things, right? And these three things are so crucial. Prabhupada writes in the purport, without being self-controlled, without being disciplinary, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to come back to Godhead. SOD, without being self-controlled, without being fully obedient, without being disciplined. Right? Following the instructions of spiritual master is not possible, Prabhupada is writing. So if we are not controlled, if we are not fully obedient, and if we are not disciplined, then we can't follow the instructions of the spiritual master. And if we cannot follow the instructions of the spiritual master, we can't go back home, back to Godhead. Over, finished, life is over. We will continue to remain here. Now, what happens if we continue to remain here? What is the problem? Why the goal of going back home, back to Godhead is so important? And how each one of us is a prospective candidate who can go back home, back to Godhead. Because we are so fortunate, out of millions of living entities, Manushyanam Sahasreshu, Kaschit Yatati Siddhaye, Yatatam Api Siddhanam, Kaschin Mam Vetti Tattvataha. We have come so close to know the Lord in truth, tattvataha, because we have come in touch with a pure devotee. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyante vasudeva sarvamiti samhatma sudurlava. We have come to understand the position of Vasudeva or the Lord behind everything that is happening in our lives. Everything is there. To understand this, a touch of a pure devotee is very important, and we are very fortunate. But unfortunately, we are callous. We are not very careful as to how to make progress or advance in spiritual life. That is why these three things are very, very important. And very interestingly, we will see those qualifications which Prabhupada is mentioning in today's verse and understand this. But to, as I said, this verse talks about 6 qualifications to advance in devotional life. And the 6 qualifications are Anurakta Prasritasya Hatainasaha Shraddhadanasya Dantasya Anucharasya. Can I just expand them? He was very much attached, Anurakta, to those sages. Who was very much attached? Narada Muni. Narada Muni was attached to whom? To the Bhaktivedantists. One of the qualifications required in our life is, whom are we attached to? Are we attached to the devotees of the Lord? Are we attached to the pure devotee of the Lord? What is the role or position of a pure devotee spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada in our life? How much are we attracted to his life, his activities, his instructions? Being attached to devotees. Having an attachment to devotees in our heart is a first qualification. If we are not attached, if there is no attraction, if there is no attachment and we just come, just something, what we will do? Because the goal here is how I can make progress in my spiritual life in association of devotees where I get inspiration to progress. I got to be attached. If I'm just careless, don't care, not attached, not going to work. He was gentle and obedient, prasritasya, in behavior. He served them constantly, and in this way, all his sins were eradicated. Hatainasaha. He served them constantly, and in this way, all his sins were eradicated. In his heart, he had a strong faith in them, Shraddhadanasya. He had subjugated the senses, Dantasya. He was strictly following the sages with his mind and body, Anucharasya. I have rearranged them in a particular order just for our understanding, and I'll say what is the rearrangement. So if you see, there are 2 which are in red and the remaining 4 are in green or whatever that color is. He was gentle and obedient, prasritasya, in behavior, and he had subjugated the senses, dantasya. Now these 2 were done by him. It is in our control. He was gentle and obedient in behavior, and he had subjugated the sense. The remaining 4 is all about associating with a pure devotee. He was very much attached to those sages. He served them constantly, and in this way, all his sins were eradicated. Hatainasaha. In his heart, he had a strong faith in them, again for the pure devotee, Shraddhadanasya. He was strictly following the sages with his body and mind, Anucharasya. It is all about associating with a pure devotee. How should we be associating with them? Now, the first thing that I want to address is, why do we need to advance in devotion? Or what is the point in hearing this Bhagavatam when we come together and hear? How is it related? Why we are hearing this Narad Muni's instruction in our life, and how these 6 qualifications which are mentioned can help in progress in our devotion, or can help in coming out of whatever the existence that we have. So to understand this, why do we need to advance in devotion? First thing that I wanted to share with you is, it's a line from the purport of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says, the contact of the spiritual spark with material elements creates a knot which must be cut if one wants to be liberated from the actions and reactions of fruitive work. This is my first statement, and if you pay attention to this particular line from Srila Prabhupada's purport, I'll tell you where this verse is, where this purport and what this line is. This is talking about our precarious position in this material world. We're all spiritual sparks, parts and parcels of the Lord. But the moment the spiritual spark comes in touch or contact with the material elements, it creates a knot in our heart. And mind you, this knot is a very difficult one to cut. Very, very difficult. The contact of the spiritual spark with the material elements creates a material knot. Actually, the spirit, soul, and matter, they are incompatible. There is no compatibility. But when the spirit soul comes in touch with the material elements, there is a knot which is created in our heart. And these knots, not just in this lifetime, from many, many lifetimes, these are getting created. The verse is from 1st Canto, 2nd chapter, 15th verse, where Sutta Goswami is telling, Yad anudhyasina yuktaha karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti ko vidastasya kono kuryat katharatim karma granthi nibandhanam. So this knots which are produced, which are created, is because of the false ego. The moment we associate with matter, we claim proprietorship over that. This is mine. And the moment we think like that, there is a knot which is created in our heart. Let me illustrate this with 2 examples. There was a orientation session that we were having a few days back at MIT. And there were all the chaplains and few other employees of MIT who were seated. And the discussion was going on. And suddenly one staff who came and he said that somebody's car is parked wrongly in front of the chapel. And he gave the description. As for the picture, it is yellow, but it was not yellow. Whatever, he gave one description that it's a small car, yellow in color. The moment he mentioned, 2 people got up. And out of the 2, one sat down again and the other one went. So the one who got up, he just got up because he also thought that he also has a yellow car. And, it's a small car and he was worried. Maybe he forgot to park it in the right place, but he realized, no, I parked it in some other place. I'm safe. So the other guy who went, he removed the car. It's a pretty common thing which happens. Now you see in that group, in that class, in that room, there were about 50 people, but only 2 got up. Why the 48 didn't get up? Because they knew that it is not their car. There was no attachment, association with the car, the description of the car given. So the 2 people, they realized, they knew that the yellow car, a small yellow car belongs to each one of them. They got up. So the moment it is mine, right? This car is mine. Had it been anybody else's car, I have no attachment. There is a knot which is created in our heart. So this my car, this car is mine. I should possess it. I should somehow protect it. Going further, let's say there is a match which is going on, an IPL match. And this is happening between Mumbai Indian and Chennai Super Kings. Okay, and it's the last ball of the match. And the requirement is Mumbai Indians has to hit a 6 in the last ball. Somebody from Chennai Super Kings is bowling. And lo and behold, the last ball went for a 6, went out of the boundary. So all the fans of Mumbai Indians, they will say, wow, they will cheer it up. Right? Whereas CSK, they will say, such a sad thing, right? We lost it. What is it that making one feel happy and what is it that making one feel sad? It is identification with the team. You can say, what is wrong in that? I'm supporting, I'm from Mumbai, I'm supporting that team. Exactly that is what it is telling. When the spirit soul comes in touch with matter, there is a knot which is created in our heart. And these knots are created one after another. And these are so complicated this is my son. Oh, my son. Oh, what happened to you? Oh, my son, where did you go? Oh, my wife, my dear wife. Oh, my husband. But these are all temporary. And these knots are so strong that it is very difficult to overcome. What the Nirvisesha and Sunyavadi people say, they say this whole world is illusion, this whole world is Maya, cut it off. Imagine if your hand has got a sore or if it has got some pus, the solution they give is cut it off, finish it. Because this is anyway problematic, this is troublesome, cut it off. How easy it is to do that? Not easy, very difficult, right? If you imagine if somebody says, I have a big house and the house requires a lot of electricity, a lot of maintenance, a lot of, how much of trouble this house is, let's burn it down. But what is the solution which Bhagavatam is offering? Beautiful solution. Bhagavatam solution is, we just saw the verse. Yad anudhyasina yuktaha karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidas tasya kono kuryat kathartim. Just hear about Krishna, just hear about these transcendental descriptions. Kono kuryat katharatim. If you hear, then all this material knots that you are creating, impossible to cut it. Otherwise, it will get cut. Unfortunately, what happens is because we are associating so much with the matter, we consider we are this body. Look at our album in the past, if we see. See, we will say, okay, this is my body. I was seeing somebody had sent me a photograph of mine when I was working in Infosys. I was comparatively leaner. I was not as fat. So I was thinking, yeah, see how nice it was. Few days back only. So if we look back our life, we see, okay, this is also me, this is also me, this is also me, and this is also me. So who am I really? I'm changing bodies constantly. But then I think, okay, together, all of these are me. But it is not true. Since we are changing bodies constantly and associating with this matter regularly, we are developing these desires. And Bhagavad Gita says very beautifully that in 15th chapter, because of this association with the matter, we are creating our next bodies. In the 15th chapter, very beautifully Krishna describes this. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam grahanam eva cha adhisthitaya manaschayam visayan upasevate. Adhisthaya manaschayam visayan upasevate. Because we have a desire to enjoy. I have a particular taste for hearing. I have a particular taste for tongue. I have a particular taste for my eyes. And these desires are unfulfilled. My bodies are constantly changing. I was a boy, I was a baby, toddler. Then I went to school, I'm in college, I have become young, I've become an adult, and then now I've become old, I've matured, and then one day this body is gone. But these desires are constantly being produced because I'm associating with matter. And then what happens? Immediately at the time of death, we get another body and it continues. So all this particular taste that we are developing, it revolves around the mind. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam grahanam eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam. Around the mind it revolves. And this mind continues in the next body, and this life continues. And this is what is called karma bandhan nibandhanam. We are trapped in this material world. And then from this entrapment of this material world, one gets a hope, one gets a light that, okay, I can come out of this. To come out of this, we need an association of a pure devotee, and we need to have certain qualifications. What are those qualifications? And we are seeing them. First thing which Prabhupada is mentioning here in the purport is he must be obedient and gentle. I don't know in Bhagavatam how many times this has been stressed. If you see the purport, Prabhupada is writing, he himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instructions of such a pure devotee. What is the meaning of the word plain? Simple. Plain means simplicity. If a person is too complicated, if he is duplicitous, there is he's coming with an agenda, with a motivation, or with some other hidden motive, his instructions will not go. One has to be very simple at heart. Simplicity is the right word. He must be very simple and gentle. Actually, the word in the word-to-word meaning, Prabhupada is writing as obedient, but in the translation, he's writing it as gentle. So the word-to-word of prasritasya is obedient, but in the translation, he's written, I was gentle in behavior. So if you see again, And the next line that I have highlighted, a neophyte devotee, not an advanced devotee. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee. And he should be very much obedient, not just obedient, very much obedient, and strictly follow the instructions. It's not necessary. Actually, the whole material world is created because of our independent nature. I want to be as independent as possible. Nobody should guide me. Nobody should tell me anything. I will do what I want to do. Unfortunately, that continues despite the fact we have taken to this path of devotion. And the more we do that, the more we become, the more we are only suffering, the more we are struggling, the more we are only victims of this nature. To illustrate this point, anybody can guess what is happening here? Indra has come to Brahma for some solution. Same thing. Okay, so here what is happening is a very interesting scenario, and I want you to pay attention to learn these things in our life. And see, the whole purpose of Bhagavatam that we are discussing day, at least Sundays, if you're not doing it every day, is, how do we learn from these things? What Bhagavatam is telling, how we can apply them in our lives. Not simply, okay, now what to do, I have to sit, I have to hear. No, these are powerful things. So this is an example which is given in Bhagavatam of the demigods. And they have come to Brahma for some solution. They are asking for solution. The context is Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are going to get birth. They are about to take birth. And the whole omens, the signs in the sky are very, very inauspicious. There is dark cloud. There are all kinds of trouble. Actually, Aditi, the mother of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, also got so scared she's not giving birth to them. 6 months have passed. So this is Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya Muni is telling, Nisamyatam bhutva gitam karanam sankayo jitaha tatah sarve nyavartanta tri divaya divaukashaha. So Sri Maitreya said, the demigods, the inhabitants of the higher planets, were freed from all fear upon hearing the cause of the darkness explained by Brahma, who was born from Vishnu. Thus they all returned to their respective planets. Very interesting verse, very, very powerful verse. So the demigods were scared, they were very fearful, and they went and approached Brahma, and Brahma explained certain things. And when Brahma explained, they became free from their fear and they went back to their respective planets. In the purport, Prabhupada actually beautifully explains some things. Let's hear this from Prabhupada's purport. Very wonderful purport to learn about obedience. Prabhupada is saying the difference between the demigods and ordinary human beings is that the demigods approach authority, whereas the inhabitants of this earth defy authority. This is the difference between demigods and demons. The difference between the demigods and ordinary human beings is that the demigods approach authority, whereas the inhabitants of this earth defy authority. If people would only approach the authority, then every adverse condition in this universe could be rectified. Arjuna was also disturbed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he approached the authority Krishna and his problem was solved. The conclusive instruction of this incident is that we may be disturbed by some material condition, but if we approach the authority who can actually explain the matter, then our problem is solved. The demigods approached Brahma for the meaning of their disturbance, and after hearing from him, they were satisfied and returned home peacefully. There is one verse where Prabhupada explains the meaning of the word asura. And the meaning of the word asura, he says asu and ra. Ra is ramate, asu means who wants to enjoy immediately. Just, there is no discrimination. Immediately I should be satisfied. Oh, I want this pizza. No listening, no control, no self-control. I want to just watch this movie, finished. And I'm watching. This is a asuric pravriti. And they don't want to consult anyone. I want to do myself. Whatever has been told, I'll do the opposite of that. I will see how superior I am, how intelligent I am. Why do I need to listen to someone? This is exactly what is the demoniac mentality, and the reason and the effect of this is they suffer perpetually, because they are getting out of the protection of the umbrella of the supreme of the spiritual master. If the protection of the spiritual master is gone, then there is rain, there is heat, there is all kinds of disturbance. How will you protect yourself? So obedience is our greatest resource. That is the first thing, first qualification required of a disciple. If he is disobedient, there's no question of spiritual life. Forget about it. There is a very nice story. I wanted to talk about it just because we're talking about obedience. This is a story which I heard, where Narad Muni once was visiting one palace, and the king had two sons. First son was very obedient. The second one was very disobedient, defying, no respect, nothing. Somehow the elder son wanted Narad Muni to meet the second son. So he goes and meets the second son. Second son was busy, absorbed in material sense gratification, had no this thing, didn't want to listen, didn't want to hear, wanted to do some things on his own. So Narad Muni went and came back. Said, what is the point going there? He's not listening. Not. The first son again said, no, please, Narad Muni, you go one more time. Please. So Narad Muni goes. Says, okay, now this person is requesting so much, let me go and meet him. So he goes and meets this the second son, the younger brother. And he was hardly, some sage, what is this? Just like that. He was not in any mood to listen to Narad Muni. Narad Muni actually at that time, he said, just remember this one thing. So he said that, what is the condition of one who has got a moment's association with his sadhu? So basically, remember this one statement, whenever you are in danger in future, what is the condition of a man who has got a moment's association with sadhu? So he heard that, okay, he heard, and then he continued with his life, and then he died. The second son died. Narad Muni also left. Then this fellow was taken to Yamaraj. So he was standing in front of the Yamaraj, and Yamaraj, he was just going through his all sinful activities, and he was deciding what to do with him, and he was about to give him punishment. At that point in time, this person somehow from some good this thing remembered that one thing which Narad Muni had told. What is the condition of one who has got a moment's association with a sadhu? So Yamaraj didn't know what to respond, and so he said he would take him to meet Lord Shiva and find out the answer for the same. And Lord Shiva also shook his head saying that I also don't know. Then they went to Brahma, and Brahma also didn't know. And then they went to Vishnu. So when they asked this question to Lord Vishnu, Vishnu smiled and said that they could all leave, leaving the younger brother in Vaikuntha. So when they were puzzled, Lord Vishnu actually answered that Narada Muni, realizing the fallen condition of that younger brother, had given just one instruction. And simply by following that one instruction, he returned to Goloka. His return to Goloka was guaranteed. So the point is, Krishna becomes very pleased when somehow or other we try to obey his devotees. Becoming obedient, there is nothing that you can do about it. The nature of living entity is to become independent. That is how we are here. Ichha Dvesha Samuthena Dvanda Mohena Bharat. So in this verse that we just, in that incident that we have just seen about this, demigods and demons, one very interesting thing which Prabhupada mentions in the purport of this verse is this verse. It's what verse number? Oh, interesting. Where did it go? come back to this. The thing that you are seeing here is very clearly Prabhupada is saying, if we really want to be peaceful, if we really want to be, and in devotional life especially, there is no way one can be independent. This is the first thing that we have to learn. First thing is obedience to Srila Prabhupada and his devotees. By following that, our life is success. Let's move on. Okay. Put this. I wanted to talk about many things which I have, but okay, let me talk about this verse. Again, it is in relation to obedience, and the verse number is not right. So here it is mentioned, this is spoken by Brahma to Kardamu Muni. O great says, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self. For my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter. And in the purport, Prabhupada is writing, when a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. Generally, a pure devotee of the Lord or a pure disciple of a bona fide spiritual master does not ask any favor either from the Lord or the spiritual master. But even if there is a need to ask a favor from the spiritual master, the thing is, only when somebody does something that he becomes a recipient, becomes deserving to ask for a favor from the spiritual master. When a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. This is a very important point because in life, if we are not in consonance with our spiritual master, if we are not taking those instructions of spiritual master sincerely, there is no question of devotional life. So if you see, Prabhupada is writing, when a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor. There is a small class where Prabhupada is referring to this verse. So Prabhupada is telling that he's very clearly saying that the conditions under which the disciple has the right to ask favor from the spiritual master. When a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. Hence, the word consonance is very important. And Prabhupada explains that perfectly in consonance means to execute the message of spiritual master perfectly and sincerely. 2 words, perfectly and sincerely. And then he goes on to explain that actually perfection is challenging for a struggling devotee because we are always immersed in the modes and we tend to glide down very frequently. Very difficult to remain in the perfection state. That is why sincerity is more important than perfection, because as long as we are in the material world, perfection in Krishna consciousness is a daunting task for all of us, except for pure devotees. As we endeavor for sincerity and with the sincere prayers to Guru and Krishna, there is always a chance for perfection. In this Kali Yuga, endeavoring for sincerity is the greatest challenge. We are disturbed by our own mind and most of the time by others or by both. Sincerity is very important at all times, and not only in association of devotees, because we tend to become mithyachara, pretender in association of devotees. In the absence of devotees association, we tend to do a lot of rascaldom, foolishly thinking that Guru and Krishna will not know it. This is the problem which Prabhupada is talking about. Sincerity is so important. Since without becoming sincere, when perfection, forget about it. But at least sincere in obeying and following. Our rebellious nature is something which has to be tamed, controlled. There's no escape. Now, to illustrate this further, I have got some letters of Srila Prabhupada that he has written to many of the disciples under different circumstances, and I have got those instructions here. The first one, Prabhupada's letter, talking about the same obedience and simplicity and the antasya, the first 2 things. So here, and today being as per the Tithi, today is actually the glorious appearance day, not the appearance, the arrival date of Srila Prabhupada in Boston. So Prabhupada and his instructions, which are transforming people, not just some time back, even now, are so valuable, so important, because these are the real struggling devotees who have faced these difficulties, who have come across these challenges and disturbances, and how Prabhupada has given these instructions, which are so important for us to meditate. This is one place where Prabhupada is writing this letter. He's telling devotees' duties, whatever is the duty, what is the duties of devotees? And this is in regard to temple management. Whatever allocation of duty there may be, if we try to execute such specific duty sincerely, that alone can make us much more advanced in Krishna consciousness. You see, whatever allocation of duty there may be, if we try to execute such specific duty sincerely, that alone can make us much more advanced in Krishna consciousness. So very specifically, whatever allocation it may be, if we try to execute such specific duty, it is assigned to me, such specific duty sincerely, that alone can make us much more advanced in Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, some of us, we take initiation and we forget the vows that we take at the time of initiation. This is a process, this is the beginning process where we are, initiation is a process, is a beginning where we are taking a vow, a commitment to follow the instructions of our spiritual master sincerely to the best of our abilities. But what happens is, if we are not reminding ourselves of these vows, if we are not careful of it, we think I have taken the initiation, my job is over. We don't value how much of service we are rendering, how much I am sincere in following these instructions. How sincere, how can it be measured? The sincerity is something which is there in the heart. One way of following sincerely the instruction of spiritual master is being obedient to whatever is assigned to you. That is a sign of sincerity. Prabhupada says further in the letters, it is not the numerical strength that works, but it is the Krishna consciousness that works. Actually, in our heart, how Krishna conscious we are, that is what makes the difference. It is not that, okay, that center has got this many devotees, this center has this less devotees, what we can do, we don't have. It is not the numerical strength. It is the Krishna consciousness that works. How sincere we are in our heart, how eager are we to serve our pure devotee spiritual master. That works, that makes all the difference. Discipline cannot be observed unless there is obedience. As you are obedient to me, you should also be similarly obedient to my representative. You cannot be disciplined if you don't have obedience. It's impossible. And as we saw in that the last class that I was talking about, SOD, without being self-controlled, without being obedient, and without being disciplined, no one can follow the instructions of the spiritual master. And without following the instructions of spiritual master, there is no question of going back to Godhead. The same thing is again repeated here. The Dantasya is still there, obedience is still there. So discipline cannot be observed unless there is obedience. As you are obedient to me, you should also be similarly obedient to my representative. Without being jolly, one cannot make any tangible progress in Krishna consciousness. If you are not happy, you think always it's a burden, oh my God, what to do? There is a rule, there is a law, there is something strict, this thing. There is no question of making tangible progress. Krishna consciousness means we should always be satisfied and be happy, not that we must work for something impossible. Not that I must have a very nice place. I must serve like this or like that. Otherwise, I shall go away. No. Vaishnava devotee means give me simply a place to lie down. Little prasadam. Whatever little service you have got, please give me. That's all. Thank you very much for taking up this difficult work to help me in this way. Not that I want all the comforts in the world. मेरे को ये भी चाहिए, वो भी चाहिए. Then only I'll think of doing some service. मेरा बात नहीं सुना तो मैं गया यहाँ से. No. It's a great privilege to be engaged in devotional service. We saw in the beginning, karma granthi nibandhanam. There is no other way to cut these knots. And these knots are very hard. There are so many complicated knots in our heart, which has been there from many, many lifetimes, can only be cut by this process. Unless you are continuously engaged, then there will be sickness and illicit sex automatically. You see, this is instruction of Prabhupada. Unless you are continuously engaged, then there will be sickness and illicit sex automatically. Because idle mind, if it is not engaged, these are byproducts. That is why it's so important for us to be austere in life, getting up early in the morning. Austerity, the person who is austere automatically attracts the attention of Krishna, or who's trying to be sincere in following the instructions of spiritual master. Getting up early in the morning, coming, this is austere. This is not good for our body. This is not comfortable, but it attracts the attention. It attracts the mercy. Being austere is like, what is that verse of Krishavdev where he says, Tapo divyam putraka yena sudhyam cha sattva. So when we do this austerity, when we take this voluntarily inconveniences for a higher cause, then suddhet, then we purify our existence and we experience Brahma Saukyam Tvananta. Unless we are continuously engaged, then there will be sickness and illicit sex automatically. This is a letter to the president. I think if you go on this way and spend your whole time preaching and engaging others to hear and become themselves engaged in Krishna's service, that will cure of all misgivings and miserable conditions. If you engage in this way, if you go on in this way and spend your whole time preaching and engaging others to hear and become themselves engaged in Krishna's service, that will cure you of all misgivings and miserable conditions. Follow the simple formula of chanting regularly with full attention, reading at least 1 hour, and balance time preaching and speaking and managing one center, and then everything will be all right. And there is one last. All the presidents of our centers should see that all the members are strictly observing the Brahmanical standards, such as rising early, cleansing at least twice daily, reading profusely, attending Arati like that. You begin immediately this process. That is the main work of GBC. So you see, the instructions are very clear. I just wanted to break it down in simple format so that we understand what Prabhupada is trying to say when he's talking about the 6 things. That one must be gentle and obedient. Prashritasya. One must subjugate the senses. Because the goal is so high, lofty. Even the materialistic people understand the importance of these things, being regulated, being disciplined, to achieve some material goal. Imagine the goal of going back home, back to Godhead. So lofty it is. And we are so careless about it, not taking it seriously, being very frivolous, doing some things on our own, being very independent. Who's the gainer in this? Actually, we are the loser in this. There is nothing that we'll gain by this. And Prabhupada is telling this, the last 4 things is how we should be attached to this, to Srila Prabhupada, how we should be attached to his books, how we should be attached to his. Most of the times when we ask people will say, if it is a grahastha, I don't have time. But time is there. But when time is there, I don't have an attachment for reading Srila Prabhupada's books. There is no attraction for this. And since there is no general etiquette of following the instructions, everything seems so difficult, so far off. And again, once in a week, we come back and then we hear something and then we again go back. In one place, Prabhupada, while answering one question of a devotee, he says that the difference between an advanced devotee and a struggling devotee is when the Bhagavatam class is over, the struggling devotee will talk about other things immediately. Kya chal raha hai life mein, ye ho raha hai, 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 khatam. The advanced devotee thinks, absorbs in those thoughts. What did I hear today? How can I apply that in my life? What is it that translates to my life in terms of actions? That is the difference. Very much attached to those sages. Actually, it is a very serious, sincere business. Here there is no question of duplicity. Here there is no question of, okay, आज किया मन क्या किया, देखते हैं कल नहीं हुआ, आएंगे बाद में. There is no discipline, there is no control, there is no obedience, there is nothing. What devotional life will happen in that? He served them constantly, and in this way, all his sins were eradicated. In his heart, he had a strong faith in them, Shraddhadhanasya, and he was strictly following the sages with his body and mind, Anucharasya. I want to conclude with one last thing and then see if you have any questions. So while talking about, the first thing about obedience, I want to give you this example, the story which is there in Bhagavatam, and with that we will close. Of that of sometimes in one place Krishna, in one place Prabhupada, this is a room conversation where he says, you just be obedient to me, I will take care of Krishna. I will take care of how to give Krishna, something like this. You just be obedient to me, I'll take care of Krishna, I'll give it to you. Now this one sentence, if you just be obedient to me, I will take care of Krishna, is a very powerful assurance by a pure devotee. If we just be obedient to him, Prabhupada is telling, he is giving the assurance, he'll give Krishna to us. I want to give you the example of Narad Muni when he cursed this Nala Kubera and Manigriva, the sons of Kubera. Our Kartik month is coming and we will hear about this pastime. When they were cursed, they were very repentant and they were very morose, and they took birth as trees in Nanda Baba's courtyard. But in the same context, Krishna says, because Narad Muni promised that you will be delivered personally by me, just to keep his words, because Narad Muni told that I will personally come to deliver, I came and I delivered. Similarly, if Prabhupada is saying, just be obedient to me, I will give Krishna, he will give Krishna. More important for us is to learn these basic things. These are the necessary qualifications to advance in spiritual life. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. Any question? How do we recognize pure devotee? Good question. There are verses which talk about it, but I'll give you some context. The question is, how do we recognize a pure devotee? See, what a person is, you can know it by what is there in his heart. Forget about pure devotee, just a normal person. What kind of thoughts he has, what all things he's carrying in his heart. That is how we will know how the person is. The pure devotee of the Lord carries Krishna always in his heart. He's absorbed in that. That is why in every single dealings of his, he sees how I can give Krishna to someone. There are two things. If we see, there is a prayer which Prabhupada had written, Makine Bhagavad Dharma. In that there is a line which comes. Just read that. Makine Bhagavad. So it is Krishna Tava Punya Hoye Bhai. Actually, this poem, this song, is written by Prabhupada when he landed here in Boston, in Commonwealth Pier, after months of struggle in a very arduous journey in a cargo ship, 2 massive heart attacks. He landed and he's writing this. It actually talks about what is there in his heart. There is one line which he says, Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Sachi Sutta Priyati Krishna Sevai Jara Tulanai Sei Se Mahanta Guru Jagatere Madhya Uru Krishna Bhakti De Thai Thai. So this clearly differentiates what is the heart of a pure devotee and that of a non-devotee. How the non-devotee desire things for themselves, whereas a pure devotee, he wants to distribute love of God to others. He wants to do this. And so here you can see the conviction that Prabhupada has and the compassion that he has. He knows that the people in this material world are struggling, suffering. And because he's so absorbed and convinced that the instruction of his spiritual master is going to be Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Satchisutta Priyati. See, he is very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Sevai Jara Tulanai, Sei se Mahanta Guru Jagatere Madhyaguru Krishna Bhakti De Thai Thai. Because he is very dear to him, and it is his instruction that I should preach, this Krishna Bhakti will go. And when Krishna Bhakti goes, people will come out of their material sufferings. So the one-line answer to your question is, a person who is a pure devotee, you can see him by how much he is absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, how he is compassionate about the suffering humanity, and he thinks how I can deliver them by giving Krishna to them. I wanted to sing the second line, I sang the first one. Tavaicha Balavan, Paschatete Than Than, Hoy Jate Gaurangirana, Prithivite Nagaradi, Asamudra Nadanadi, Sakale Bole Krishnana. Sorry, the line it says actually his desire is very powerful, and thus he is causing the holy name of Lord Gauranga to spread throughout all the countries of the Western world, in all the cities, towns, and villages on the earth, extending it to all the oceans, rivers, and streams. Everyone may chant the names of Krishna and Rama. Actually, what pure devotee, how do we understand them is the conviction they have in this process. A person who is not devotee is either averse to this path, or he is just busy in sense gratification, has no idea, or even if he's a neophyte devotee, a struggling devotee, has little faith. They have tremendous faith in this process. They know the true position of a living entity struggling in this material world, very strongly convinced, and they realized it. And they want to help, they want to extend this help so that people who are suffering come out of this material miseries. Any other question? And very interestingly, if we want to take the mercy of a pure devotee, you see, when we transfer some files in Apple, AirDrop, or you use some Bluetooth. One thing is the two devices should be compatible. Then only the transfer can happen. You can't transfer from an Apple device to another one. It's very difficult. Similarly, if we want to receive the mercy of a pure devotee, we also have to be Sojatiya. We have to come to that same level to get this. We have to make ourselves qualified to receive it. Mercy of pure devotee is available, but if we don't make ourselves qualified, how will we receive this mercy?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, I just want to understand that it is not the numerical strength that works, but it is the Krishna consciousness that works. So please throw some light.
So usually material calculation is if I have this many numbers, this many devotees, or this things, we see all things what we lack. But what Prabhupada is saying, if you have Krishna consciousness in heart, everything will be supplied by Krishna. Right? The verse of Bhagavad Gita which says, Yoga Kshema Bahamiham. I will preserve what you have and I'll provide what you lack. Right? So that's a fact. If Krishna can maintain an elephant who's eating tons of food stuff, why can't he take care of his devotees? As I said, the most important thing for us, at least those of us who are initiated, we really don't know what it means and what it requires to progress, to proceed in this path. So much of association with Srila Prabhupada is required to understand these things properly and apply it in our lives. Otherwise, material world will keep giving us so many justifications, excuses for remaining busy in our lives. We can always be busy. We can always say, I have this excuse, wonderful excuses, all valid, all are proper, just. But that one thing that I should be sincere, I must do this. That's why the last word used by Prabhupada in the purport is, we must be determined. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. If I am not, so determination is another great quality required. I have to, this mean, imagine what we can do. How fortunate we are having come in touch with a pure devotee. How close we are. We are not determined. We think, ठीक है, आज ये हो गया, कल वो हो जाएगा, परसों कुछ और होगा in this life. Material life will keep posing difficulties and challenges. Our minds will create difficulties and challenges. Obstinacy. How long we will tolerate? Either I listen to my mind, either I listen to all these material problems and these things, or I listen to the instruction. I take this vow, determination to follow the instruction of my spiritual master. The result of both this are different. They're not the same. And as I think I have told this earlier also, the determination comes from discrimination. I need to have that developed intelligence to know what is really good, what is not good. If the discrimination power is lacking, determination will not come. Because I often miss this point, what is good and what is bad. So I don't have that determination. Determination to read, determination to get up, determination to chant, determination to do this. And when we do that, automatically, as Kona Kuriyat Katharutim, so that verse of Bhagavatam is telling, who will not be attracted to this wonderful instructions? Because this can cut the knots. And when we see that in our lives, when we are determined to follow this process, we will relish this. Even in outside world, they say when you are doing a sales job or a marketing job, you may not have an appetite for this. You may not like it. You start doing it, you'll like it. And we may not have right now. I mean, the process is like as if we have to love Krishna, but we don't have Krishna in our heart. We don't have that. I mean, they discovered that the Lord's presence. But if we continue doing this, automatically we will develop an attraction. The whole thing is, how do we continue doing that? And for that, association of devotees is required, and all these qualifications which are mentioned are required to be followed.
So, talking of obedience and discipline and following instructions of Krishna. So, life of Grahasthas, they're constantly bombarded with material problems, and there are material needs. So, duties and their children, there is extended family, and all that is material. But then, how do you balance that? So, at what point do you say, I cannot do this duty is important, as let's say as a mother. Isn't my duty to my children? Where does that precedence come?
It's a good question. Where do I draw a line between material duties and spiritual? Where I have to say that, okay, I'll not do this, I'll do this. Actually, that is why that perfection and sincerity which Prabhupada is telling is a very important thing. Right? To become a perfectionist is not easy. But am I really sincere in following the instruction? Now that can, one flip side of this, you can say that, okay, I'm sincere in my heart, but I don't do anything. That is just being lazy, right? And that can be seen. Basically, always ask yourself, if you ask this one question to yourself, you will have the answer. Because Prabhupada says the Chaitya Guru or Paramatma is there as spiritual master within our heart. So imagine if the action that you are doing or the decision that you are taking, just before taking the decision, ask yourself, will Prabhupada be happy with decision? If he would have been present here, what I did or what I want to do, will he be satisfied with this? You will get an answer. Imagine if Srila Prabhupada would have been here, how you would have behaved. Would you have done the same thing what you did? Or you would have done different? Would I have spoken the way I spoke, or would I have done differently? That means I don't need to tell it to anyone. I know that, yes, I have done a mistake. Actually, repentance or understanding our mistakes is a very good sign of advancement. Because unless I acknowledge that I have problem, I did something, I will never rectify. This is exactly what is the state of callousness. Everybody in this world thinks what he does is the right thing. Everybody. Dilbert principle, Scott Adams, the cartoonist of Economic Times, has written the Dilbert principles. Everybody thinks he's the intelligent person. Otherwise, we would have not done any action. We do actions because we think this is right. So that is where our intelligence and mind should not be trusted. We should ask this. And we know it is. What is pleasing to Srila Prabhupada is not very difficult to know that. Right? Yes or no? It is not very complicated. Actually, if we ask this question once or twice, then to recognize the voice, that conscience, whatever we say, is easy. Yes, this is, maybe I did this, but I should not do.
Sometimes it's not so easy.
Because we have never asked this question. We never look back in our lives and see, okay, this action of mine, had Srila Prabhupada been present, imagine Prabhupada is sitting here or next to your, wherever, whatever action you are doing, if he is present, would he have been pleased with that? True. I'm not saying, I see, but the answer is not very, I would disagree with that, because it's not like, you completely neglect this and do something. There are ways of explaining the priorities in life, whoever it may be, in a manner which can be understood. It is not that you just shut it down completely, go to hell, rot, I don't care, I have to go, not like that. That is being impractical. Devotional service, the other day we were hearing a class, can be done in 3 ways. One is just to satisfy my ego that, okay, I have done. And people only when they come and pat and recognize, then you feel motivation to come and do devotional service. There is nothing, then I'm not coming and doing anything. The second one is renunciation, false renunciation. Where you just say, yeah, they're all Maya. They're all false things. I come and do devotional service. Both are not the exact definition of devotional life, devotional service. Devotional service is unmotivated. Anya bhilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavatam. Anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhakti ruttam. Uttama bhakti is just meant for the pleasure of the Lord. I have to satisfy him. There is no other this thing. Not because there is that's why there is this plain, that plain simplicity means there is no duplicity in my heart. I have come, I have done this. Did you see that? Did you notice? You didn't notice? And I go on talking everywhere with the drum. I have done till the time somebody comes and says, yes. Very good. You only are the person. Answer is there. Basically, we don't want to accept. It becomes difficult for us to follow the instructions because it is an austerity. It is not that it is not known or I'm unclear. It's not so. It is austerity.
I've heard Prabhupada also mention many think your children first, as I'm talking from the woman who's a mother.
So you have to read the full context. What is it? Is it an instruction in Bhagavatam book? Is it an instruction to a specific devotee? Is it an instruction given in context to a question answer? So the context is very different, right? Sometimes in some of the purports of Prabhupada, you will see that he's very strictly saying that you should do. Some of the places he is a little lenient, right? So when we are taking that particular instruction, we should remember that I am understanding this particular verse. And in reference to this verse, this is what Prabhupada is saying, and this is what I should follow. Not bring other context. Usually we do that. So women are not this thing, somewhere something.
So, but how do I know which context applies to in my case?
Yeah, that's a good question. So how do I know now? If I really want to follow, then I'll take the austere path. If I don't want to follow, I'll take the easy path. That's my mind justifying.
So there are many instances that we spoke. One that Didi always takes some.
We justify our actions. Our intelligence gives justifications for so many things.
But for myself.
When austerity doesn't mean that always, you go and beat your child and say, I'm austere now.
There are so many choices one has to make.
Answer is it pleasing Prabhupada or not? Ask yourself, you'll find the answer. You'll have no confusion. 100% sure. Okay, any other question? No question, we'll stop here. Jagranthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.